Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. This is Chris, Merrily on Time Watch Reviews. I unbox and review budget watches. Today I am rocking the Adam Benedict Genesis. This is a new micro brand company. I did an unboxing of it a couple of days ago and you can check that one out there. A lot of interesting comments on this watch. Check out the video, leave a comment in that video and let me know what you think of this one. Today I'm looking at an AV8. Specifically the Smith Spitfire Automatic that was sent to me to review. I get to keep the watch. I do not have to send it back. Thank you to Dina at Dartmouth Brands for entrusting me with this watch to review. It is really cool. Has one of the coolest design elements that I have seen on a watch to date. And so we'll be checking that one out right now on this episode of Merrily on Time Watch Reviews. So this is the watch that we are going to be looking at today. You can see on the website that it is reduced to $304, so it is on sale. If you wanted to grab one of those up, I would appreciate you using the affiliate link in the description below. This is such a cool watch. It's taking its design cues and elements on the dial and even on the case itself from a Spitfire airplane. What we're going to do, as we always do, is begin by taking an up-close personal look at this watch in the montage video that I do with some close-ups of the dial and movement and whatnot. And the music is provided by my friend Adrian at Somewhere in Time Watch Reviews. Enjoy. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the up-close and personal montage. So let's talk about what you are getting for the $304 that the watch is currently priced at. This one is a well-proportioned watch that has a 42 millimeter case diameter. That's measuring from the 8 to the 2. It is 46 millimeters when you factor in the distance from the 9 o'clock to the end of this crown. You have a 22 millimeter wide strap at the lugs, which does taper down to just under 20 millimeters at the end of the strap. The buckle on the watch is 24.5 millimeters wide, and you have a lug-to-lug distance on this one of 50 millimeters even, and the case thickness is 14.5 millimeters. So I suppose you can say that this watch is verging on a larger size, but for my 7.5-inch wrist, it is definitely well proportioned. I imagine, though, it might be a little bit big for those of you that have a 7-inch wrist or smaller. and you can see that there is a nice downturn on those lugs, so it should conform to your wrist fairly well. The movement powering this watch is a Seiko NH35 self and manual winding automatic movement that has 24 joules, beats at 21,600 beats per hour, allowing the seconds hand to sweep at 6 ticks per second. Guys, this is the most popular automatic movement utilized in many micro brands and has a stated accuracy of anywhere between -20 to +40 seconds per day. Now, the movement in this particular watch is unfortunately not running within those tolerances. The movement in this one is running at a whopping 75 to 76 seconds fast per day. The movement in this watch, as you've seen in the up close and personal, and as you can see here right now, has a modified rotor, and this is one of the very coolest designed rotors that I have ever seen on a watch. I absolutely love it. You can see that it is clearly a Spitfire airplane on the inside of the display case back. The case of the watch is made of stainless steel. Now, the website does not say if this is surgical grade stainless steel 316L. It just simply says stainless steel on the specifications on the website, so I am going to assume that this is just stainless steel, not surgical grade stainless steel. And you can see on this particular model that it is colored in a gun metal colorway. The finishing on the case is done to a really nice standard, actually, and has some design elements, as mentioned earlier, that take inspiration from the side of a Spitfire airplane. The sides of the case, as you can see, are nicely linear brushed, and there are lines here and dots that are etched into that case that kind of look like rivets on the airplane, and you can see it happening on this side as well. And there's a nice line etched on either side of the crown that kind of looks like one of the instruments on the cockpit of the Spitfire, which is really neat. There is a really nice chamfer edge on the top of the lug, transitioning from the linear brushing to the vertical brushing on the top of the lug there. And you can see that just below the fixed stainless steel bezel, there is a nice high polish ring running around it, and then you have a nice circular brushed finish on the fixed stainless steel bezel. The crown on this one is a good sized 7.4 millimeter push-pull crown, so this is not a screw down crown on this one. I did find the crown engagement to be okay, but a little bit tricky to get a grip on this one, just the way that it is shaped. It's not quite protruding out long enough like an onion style one would in order to, you know, kind of get a grip on it. So you kind of got to get your fingernails underneath it to get it to pull out to the first position. The first position, once it is pulled out, there is a distinct first position on the crown, and you can change that date window by turning the crown counterclockwise, as you can see. And then, of course, you can pull that crown out to the second position, which will hack the movement or stop the seconds hand, so that you can set the watch precisely to the second. The water resistance rating on this watch, I believe it is listed on the display case back, is only 5 atmospheres, which I think at this price point should be a minimum of 10 atmospheres or 100 meters of water resistance. And so that is definitely a minor gripe I have about this watch, is the water resistant rating. The crystal covering this dial is a beautiful piece of dome sapphire crystal, and I think you can see just in the lighting here, it does have a bit of blue AR coating applied, which aids in the legibility of the watch. And the domed crystal, as you can see, really gives off a nice distortion on that dial and actually adds some depth to the dial as well at different angles. Just look at that. So very, very, very cool. The band that this watch came with is a genuine leather band. I will say that it is very comfortable right out of the box. It is very flexible, very pliable. It's not stiff whatsoever at the top part of the lugs, which is often the case with some leather bands that you get on watches. You have AV8 branded on the underside of that, as well as genuine leather on the other side. The one other minor gripe that I actually have about this watch is just the finishing on the underside, especially at this lug. There is just a really rough edge here, a sharp edge where the leather isn't quite fastened down, and I did find it irritated the skin a little bit. And so that was just a minor gripe, another minor gripe I have about that. But the band itself, as I mentioned, right out of the box, very comfortable to wear. There was no breaking it in whatsoever. The buckle that it comes with is a nice brushed buckle, and I think you can see, it appears to me anyways, I could be wrong, that the AV8 logo has some bead blasting finish on the inside of that, and the brushing on the buckle is quite nice. And you do have, of course, a fixed keeper and a floating keeper on this band as well. So let's talk about the dial on this watch, which is really fantastic. And you can see as we look at this dial and compare it to the instrument panel that you see in the cockpit of a Spitfire plane. I'll just throw up a picture right now. So if you just take a glance at this image for a moment, I think you can definitely see some stylistic cues on the dial taken from the instruments on the plane, including the hour and the minute hand, and of course the big bold numerals that are applied around the dial, the 0, 3, the 6, and the 9. And again, the distortion on that crystal just adds a little bit more depth to the dial. You do have some depth to the dial. You have the bold numerals that are applied there along with the batons every 5 minutes, and the triangle above the 0. It transitions down a little bit to another level, and you have the 5-minute numerals around that dial, and then it steps down again into the center where you see AV8 is printed below the 0, and the model number of the very first Spitfire is also indicated there under the pinion K9787, which is really cool as well. And I just think the dial design on this is absolutely fantastic. And the date window is nicely framed there. Black color wheel for the date wheel with the white numerals centered perfectly. The dial on this one is executed very, very nicely, and I do really like the accent of blue that you see on the dial, the seconds hand, as well as the numerals for the 24-hour markings. Now this is another minor gripe that I do have about the watch. I think that they should have printed all of the numerals on that 24-hour section of the watch in that bright blue, because they really stand out. You can see them quite clearly. When you are in a bunch of different lighting conditions, the numerals that are printed in gray, the 5-minute numerals by the minute markers, the 5-minute batons, and the numerals that are printed in gray in the 24-hour section, they get washed out in a lot of light. You can't really see them as well, and so I just think they should have made all of those numerals inside that 24-hour section of the dial all in blue, seconds hand in blue. Very, very nice as well. So let's move on to talk about the loom. The loom on this one is actually quite good, and so once again on my iPhone that I use for doing the loom videos, the rating of loom goes as follows. If the loom dies before the 5-minute mark, then the loom is not very good at all. No use in applying the loom, in fact. If it lasts 10 minutes, from 5 to 10 minutes, you're getting fair loom. And then if it lasts 15 or more minutes, you're starting to get 10 to 15 minutes, I should say, you're starting to get some, you know, okay lume. It's decent. 15 to 20 minutes is definitely good, and then 20 minutes and beyond is really good. And so, you know, let's just skip ahead here to the 10-minute mark, and you can see that everything is still nicely legible on the dial. And then as we get past the 15-minute mark and close to 20 minutes, things are starting to fade out. And so now we're talking about good lume. And even after the 20-minute mark, you can faintly see the hour and minute hand in some of those numerals. And so to the naked eye, this is lasting hours and hours and hours. And so the lume on this is really quite good as well. And so that's it, guys. I think you have a really, really, really nice timepiece here for the money. Let me throw it on wrist, and then I'll give you my concluding thoughts on this one. And so here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see that the downturn of the lugs does help with the wearability of this one. I do think if you have, you know, a smaller wrist, 7-inch and below, this is probably going to fit a little large on you, but it is certainly doable, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. This is a really, really great watch. I think good value for dollar spent on this one for sure. So that is the Smith Automatic Spitfire by AV8. My thanks to Dina and the crew over at Dartmouth Brands for sending this in for review. Few minor gripes with this one, which I will mention again as we conclude. Just the stitching, the way it was finished on the underside of the strap, at least at this particular lug, causes a bit of an irritant when it rubs against my skin as I wear it. The movement in this particular model is running way too fast. Now, there is a way that you can adjust that, which I tried on one of my automatic watches, and I failed miserably, and I had to get it sent away to get fixed. So unless you know what you're doing, I don't recommend that you do that. And I think just some of the design elements on the dial, legibility-wise, get washed out. And so I think for the 24-hour numerals, they should have printed all of them in blue. I think that would have made it pop much, much better. But there is some great value for dollar spent on this watch. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this Smith Automatic Spitfire by AV8. And again, if you do like this one and want to purchase one, please use the affiliate link in the description of the video. It gives me a bit of commission and finder's fee, if you will, and it will help me to continue to do more content for the channel. And you will be able to use my discount code on other watches on the AV8 website that are regular price. You get 15% off by using that code. So thanks for considering that. Thanks for watching another video. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And remember, whenever you leave your house, you have to have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist like this Smith Automatic Spitfire by AV8. And remember, wherever you're going, you need to get there on time. God bless you guys. We'll see you in the next video.